And that was it. That's all we get.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you're a player, you're a player.
He can't help himself. All right.
He was telling me earlier how he didn't get any girl he wants. Like, you are your dad. You are 100% your dad.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, let's get into this before Eli starts moving close. It is episode 167 of Fathers of the Grind. I'm here with Derek, who's got a headset in that may or may not make his voice sound weird, or my headset is just sounding weird. I can't really tell, but either way, Derek is going to be back.
No.
Yeah,
it's probably my setup. I'm using a different controller and headphones and everything because I don't have everything with me.
It sounds a little bit like there's some kind of setting that if you're not making any noise, it's trying to lower the volume, so the volume keeps kind of going up and down. So, the only way to solve that really is for you either to talk the entire time or stay quiet the entire time. Those are the two best ways to fix that.
Well, I can definitely talk. You can just ask anybody who has a casual conversation with me and they're thinking, oh, this will be 30 seconds, and I make it like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well, we're almost upon E3 2019, so wanted to make sure we had a chance to talk about stuff we're hoping to see, stuff we think we might see, good or bad in between, hopes and fears, all that stuff. Before that, it's been a couple weeks since we talked and wanted to find out what video games you've been playing. I'll start off real quick and say that I did finish Rage 2. I think you might talk about that. So I finished the main story of that and enjoyed it, but we'll talk about that more in a second. Also wanted to mention one that we had talked about right before we closed out our last episode that was about to drop, and that was American Fugitive, which is kind of this throwback to old Grand Theft Auto, kind of top-down, stealing cars and shooting bad guys type of game. And it's pretty good. Is it to the quality of Grand Theft Auto? No, but there's a lot to do. There's a lot to explore. It's a pretty charming little game. Again, I say little because it's not the biggest map and it's not the most epic story, but it is pretty fun. And you get to drive cars around and fight bad guys and all that stuff. So it's pretty good. I would put the story kind of reminds me a little bit of A Way Out in terms of, you're escaping from prison at the very beginning, and then just kind of that vibe reminds me of A Way Out a little bit. But I recommend it if you see it on sale. It's not too bad. What's some stuff that you've been playing?
Just real quick, Rage 2. Not as much, though. I should have had it beaten by now, and I played most of it that first weekend that we had it, and I haven't really touched it that much since.
Why is that? Is that just your time is full, or you just aren't interested?
More super busy, and Eli's on the PC more than Xbox now, or he used to be on the Xbox and rarely on the PC.
What's he playing on PC?
Fortnite.
Oh, got it.
Like, oh, I gotta have the PC. I gotta have the PC. So, and I'm playing Rage 2 on PC, even though I have access to it on Xbox. But
that's probably where your save is. So,
yeah. So I'm about 4 or 5 hours into it. I like it, but I think I kind of feel the same way most people do. It's so much fun to play, but then nothing spectacular outside of the gameplay. And don't get me wrong, I play games for the gameplay now more than ever. But there's something just feels and it's probably just, I always say, it's probably just me, but it just doesn't, it's not hooking me. Just a few days ago, I downloaded Doom on Xbox One X.
Oh, yeah.
And I started playing it now, and I kind of get what everybody's saying about, Rage 2 is just too open. And I get why Rage 2 is open, because the big thing was it was supposed to be a first-person shooter, Rage, by the way. I'm talking about not Rage 2. First-person shooter, but they wanted to make it a little different, and they wanted car combat, so they wanted, a Twisted Metal type thing as well. So they want that, obviously, in Rage 2 as well. I think the mistake they made is they just made it too open when they don't really have an engaging story. And they don't have
world, really, for that matter.
Engaging world.
And by the way, they do a pretty good job of different looking areas. There's like a swampy area and mountainous area and stuff like that, but the visuals is only one part of it. The world doesn't necessarily compel me to keep going, because we talked about this when we gave our impressions of the game. The game can't really pick a lane. Is it a little more of a serious Mad Max crazy, or is it a little more fun and very silly Borderlands crazy?
Yeah.
You know, which one is it? And it can't really pick a lane. It kind of tries to be both. And I think Mad Max is compelling because it's got a little more of a serious take on this crazy post-apocalyptic setting. And Borderlands is compelling because it's so silly and very funny. Every character is unique and silly, and the writing is really clever. And so even if the storyline, like the main through line, who cares about the main storyline of Borderlands? It's fine. But it's really about those moment-to-moment funny one-liners and kooky characters you meet, and the upgrades that are involved there as well. So yeah. Rage 2 didn't quite capture the kookiness and fun of Borderlands, nor did it capture the kind of desperate story of a Mad Max story. So it was kind of stuck in the middle, and I found myself not really caring. But I do think, I will say this, the last couple missions, as you open up each of the main NPCs' second set of missions, those get a little more interesting, a little more challenging, and then the final set of missions are pretty fun. It's not bad. There's some pretty cool bosses you get to fight. I do recommend folks go unlock as many of the arcs as you can, because all the powers and extra guns you unlock make the game way more fun. As much as I love the shotgun and assault rifle and all that, unlocking like the grenade launcher and the Diablo pistol, and then some of the additional moves like the slam and stuff like that, those are a lot of fun, and it makes the game just that much crazier to play. So I do recommend opening up all the arcs you can.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah. I like the game, so I'm not bashing it if that's how it comes across. I just think it was like cool for the first 4 or 5 hours, and then I'm not personally drawn to be like, I gotta finish this. But I've been that way with most games, so that's why I'm not really blaming the game.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, also now I've got my PC set up in a place where I think it's going to be a little more comfortable, and I can come here more. But I'm also going to have Eli around me more, so he'll be on it. Yeah. But I'll finish it. And then the other one, the big one, was Red Dead Redemption 2. I, for 6 months, had got to a place where like maybe once a month I'd play a mission or two. But finally I've gotten to a place where I don't know why, but I'm like, I'm kind of in the mood for this setting, and I'm kind of in the mood for this slow game. But I guess I know I'm not even close to the end. I know there's 6 chapters, and I know there's 2 epilogues, and I looked at just to see how many missions were in each, and I was like, good Lord, I'm at basically the halfway point. I'm like, I'm already exhausted. But I am into chapter 5. I am seeing a change with like how they're doing the story. Like the first like 3 chapters, there's barely any story. It's just, hey, we're a gang trying to get a lot of money so we can be relevant, and then we can like basically go to the promised land. Like we just want to find a place where we can live and be happy and not have to do bad things all the time. But now it's picking up where there's a ton of cutscenes, which I don't watch them, but the cutscenes are obviously leading into new places, new characters, new all that, and I'm still following it to the. I mean, I would say I'm following it pretty well. Like I have a general understanding of what's going on. Again, that's not why I'm playing the game. I'm just playing it to enjoy the world.
Just want to be a cowboy.
Yeah, and I do enjoy Arthur a lot more than I thought I would.
What a great performance that actor put in for that guy. He's really, really good. And I know you're skipping the cutscenes. And by the way, most of the time when you say you skip cutscenes, I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. A lot of cutscenes in video games, I would say a vast majority, not worth watching necessarily. But dude, these are really good. These are really good cutscenes.
Still don't care. I mean, it's great that you're trying to sell me on it, but you're not going to succeed.
That's true.
Not care. So I like Red Dead. I eventually will beat it, but same thing with the original Red Dead. I mean, I didn't beat it until like 2 years ago, I think.
You'll get to a point where you'll start flying through those final missions, and it does get pretty compelling from moment to moment, and you'll want to find out what happens. You might pause after the main story before the epilogue because things slow down after that, and then the epilogue, things pick back up, but it kind of feels like its own little mini add-on. It's hard to describe without spoiling it.
Yeah.
But the epilogue does kind of feel like its own little section, and it kind of goes back to what feels like some early game missions where there's not as much writing on it, and you're like, wow, why are they making me do this? So I have a feeling you'll slow down in the epilogue again, but I encourage you, just try to push through the main missions. If you're not interested in going out and doing all the legendary hunts and finding all the secrets in the world and all that stuff, some people are. If you just want to see what the main game has to offer, I do recommend the epilogue because it's got some really interesting moments, especially in the second half of it. But
yeah, I'll push through, I think. I mean, again, it might be something that I'm like, okay, I'll come back to this later. But for right now, it's the main, when I log on to Xbox, it's the main one I'm trying to play. In fact, I think I might finally, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do this. I'm still like debating myself. I might finally retire from Rocket League. Not because I don't love the game. I still absolutely love it. But because of my temper and me wanting to be a nicer person, I think at least a good long break. So
yeah,
I think when I log on to Xbox, I pretty much just play Mortal Kombat 11 and Red Dead.
Sorry, it's just funny that Rocket League makes you mad. Mortal Kombat 11, that's nice and relaxing. That helps you stay calm.
Well, and you know what? The only thing I'm doing with Mortal Kombat 11 is they have like daily challenges where you earn coin. So I just go in, I check the daily challenge. If it's something I can do, I do it, get the coin, and then I back out. And then after I've done it like 4 or 5 days and maybe done a few towers or whatever, I'll have like 70,000, 80,000 coins, and I'll go in the crypt and buy stuff. And then I start the process over again. So it's something it's taking literally 5 minutes, like not even 5 minutes tonight. Tonight I went before we recorded and checked what the daily challenge was. And it was like land 20 jump kicks. I'm like, okay, I can do that in like 3 fights. Like, it's not a problem. So I just did that and was done. And that's 10,000 coins plus anytime you win a battle, do fatalities, stuff like that, you earn coins as well.
Yeah.
So I'm still playing that game. I still enjoy it. It's kind of Mortal Kombat 11 kind of took me back to how I felt about like Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 10 I thought was good. It just didn't suck me in as much as Mortal Kombat 11 is. So I'm definitely enjoying that more. So I think those will be my 2 games that, unless something else is coming out soon that I'm unaware of, that I'm gonna just kind of go back and forth. Maybe take a break from Rocket League just so I can stay nice.
And right as you take a break from Rocket League, watch at E3 they'll announce Rocket League 2, and it's available now, and you're screwed.
I'll just have to play with bots. But then again, I'll just tell the bots they're trash. I hate you, piece of crap.
True. That's true.
Because I get frustrated because I'm not a perfect Rocket League player. I'm not. But I'm pretty darn good. I've gotten good in my 3-4 years, whatever I played of this game.
Yeah, it's been out for 4 years almost, yeah.
My biggest problem is on Xbox, I hit Platinum 2 Division 4 or whatever. I was about ready to hit Platinum 3, which was the highest I've ever been. And I just get stuck with bad teammates. And I know it's like, well, Derek, you're just blaming them. But what I'm blaming is not like whether you whiff or something like that. I get annoyed by that, but even I do that. What I get frustrated is when they put you with teammates who don't rotate, who will see you are in the corner playing the ball and still will come and cut in front of you. And it's like, why are you over here? And that's when I get frustrated because I'm like, that's just common sense. Like, how are you a platinum level player still ball chasing and not rotating? That's when I get frustrated. I don't care if you make a mistake.
Yeah,
I get frustrated if you're just stupid. Like if you're just a dumb player.
They should have a filter for that. Like, don't partner me with stupid people. That'd be great.
Unfortunately, I really don't understand how they're platinum. And some of them, this is the amazing thing. Some of these players that are on platinum level still will only play goalie. They'll just sit back and goalie. And I'm like, the ball's in the middle of the field. Like, you could just come up and hit the ball. Like, you're our back guy. You could have still come up, and they won't. They'll just sit back and goal. And they'll just sit back there and let the other team play it, and they never make the save because I'm like, you're standing still. There's no chance you're going to make a save when they have a one-on-one with you. You're an idiot. Like, anybody who knows anything about soccer knows you need to attack the ball and not sit back and go, I think I can stop it. No, you can't, because trash. Now
If you're wondering who he's talking about, it's mostly me. It's usually me.
I'm angry now.
All right, well, I'm playing a couple of old school games. Speaking of games that have been out for a little while, I mean, Rocket League, almost 4 years. Coming up in about a month and a half, we'll be at the 4-year anniversary of Rocket League. It's crazy the success that strange little idea of a game became such a smash success and pretty universally loved. So a pretty awesome game.
Yeah.
But I'm also playing a couple of older games. The first one I wanted to mention real quick is I picked up on sale Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition a little bit ago. So I tried it out and it looks pretty good. It kind of reminds me of the Borderlands Remastered Edition on Xbox One, where it looks nice. There's still some dated textures here and there, but it's all kind of flattened out and it's crisp. It's clean. This kind of reminds me of that, where the visuals still look a little dated, but everything's upgraded. So it's not too bad. It throws you into this setting in Mars. You are immediately given this gigantic hammer and a bunch of explosives and told, go demolish these buildings. And I remembered right away, ooh, this is why I love this game, because demolishing buildings is a blast. Using your hammer to take out the main supports or setting the right amount of explosives and watching the whole thing come collapsing down. Super fun. And I started to wonder to myself, why did I never finish this game? Why did I give up on this game? And then came my first firefight, and I immediately remembered why I didn't keep playing this game. The shooting in Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered sucks. It's real bad. It's real bad. It's worse than Just Cause. If you didn't like the Just Cause shooting, this is worse than that. There's no cover. The aiming isn't really great, and they really don't give you a lot of health at the beginning, so you die real fast. It's not great. So that's the big drawback. If you can get it for cheap, it's worth getting and blowing up some buildings and running around that way. But
what did you buy it on?
Xbox One.
Oh, you did?
So it's just kind of fun to blow stuff up, but I do not.
That would explain why it showed up in my queue, because I'm like, I didn't buy this game.
Yeah.
But I never thought to ask if you.
Yeah, I bought it on sale a little bit ago. But so it was fun to revisit. It was super cheap at one point. If it's not on sale now, folks, just go and if it's on sale in the future, like $5 or less, I recommend grabbing it. It's kind of an interesting blast from the past. If you've got patience for not great shooting mechanics, but just some really fun destructible environments, I recommend it. And it's pretty fun. Another older one I've been playing that I'm actually kind of remembering how much I loved this version of the series is I'm playing Assassin's Creed Unity on the Xbox One. I got the itch to get into an open world kind of historical setting type game. I almost jumped back into AC Odyssey because I've got tons of stuff in that game that I didn't finish. But I thought, the only mainline AC game outside of the Liberation was Unity that I have not finished. So I jumped in, started playing it. And I was like, wow, this game looks pretty good. It's not quite as good looking as Syndicate or, of course, Origins or Odyssey, but it's a pretty good looking game. And it's pretty fun to play. Still has that old school Assassin's Creed jankiness. When you're trying to run up buildings, you could get caught in a wall. There's moments when you're clearly trying to go this direction, but your momentum or just the controller or whatever thinks you're doing something else. And some of that's a little frustrating. The AI is pretty stupid. So there's some of the jankiness is still there, but overall it's a really high quality. If you liked the old version of Assassin's Creed, if you really enjoyed those, really a heavy emphasis on stealth and lots of climbing and using your trinkets and stuff like that, then this is one of the better versions. This one and Syndicate are some of the better examples of kind of the Assassin's Creed 1.0, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I prefer the new ones. Don't get me wrong. I prefer Odyssey. I want them to make more games like Odyssey. That's what I want. But I am finding an appreciation for this one. I'm really digging the setting. The city's pretty cool. There's lots
I love you.
There's lots of verticality to it. The climbing and the kind of the controlled descent. I forget what they call that, but it's kind of like this controlled where you can hold B and quickly climb down. All that works really well. And the story is actually somewhat compelling, more so than some of the other ones I could say. So overall, I'm really enjoying it. And if you can get this one for cheap, which by the way, Ubisoft has sales all the time, I'm really enjoying it. And apparently there's this really cool Dead Kings DLC that I never even knew about that when I downloaded this, it asked if I wanted to download that too. I said, sure. So there's some DLC I'm going to try out too, which introduces a new area.
Xbox One X enhanced, is it?
I actually don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure.
You can't tell when you look at it?
No. If it is, it's subtle. So
you are trash.
I know I am. But anyway, I'm really enjoying that. I thought that would be an interesting one to jump back into, and I am having fun with it, and I plan on seeing that one all the way through. Because there's a whole bunch of games that I started and haven't finished, and I'm not sure that I will. I would put Days Gone in that category. I'm not sure that I'll finish that game, to be honest with you. I tried this really crappy helicopter game on Switch called Preventive Strike. I don't care if it's only $1, folks. Don't get it. My kids wanted me to buy it. I bought it. It's awful. Runs horribly. Plays horribly. Don't waste your time, even if it's $1. And there's a whole bunch of other ones, too. The only other one I'll mention is one that I have yet to have a fair impression of because my PlayStation Move controllers are in the mail. So I bought Blood and Truth after seeing all the positive reviews. I really wanted to play it. It kind of has this cool secret agent action vibe to it. And I was kind of feeling the itch to get the VR headset back on. So I started playing a little more Moss, which is a lot of fun. And then I downloaded Blood and Truth. And I started it up. It looks okay. It looks pretty good. And the concept of it seems pretty cool. And it let me play with my regular controller. And I quickly realized you have to control your hands separately with Move. And so the way they do that with the controller is very janky. And very early in the game, there's a moment that it gets completely stuck where you have to use 2 hands to open a door with this lockpick set. And it was not letting me grab the 2 pieces. I needed the 2 Move controllers to really do it. And so I got stuck. So my first impression of it, not amazing. But once I get Move controllers, they should be coming in the mail, I hope, tomorrow. Then I'll have a better impression for you. But Blood and Truth is supposed to be one of those, yet again, pretty cool IP that they've put out on PSVR. So I am looking forward to giving it a real try. So there you go. There's all the stuff I've been playing around with. And really, a lot of it has to do, I think I'm jumping from game to game in some cases because E3 time just gets me pumped for all kinds of genres and games and what are they going to make? And I start thinking about, what's Ubisoft going to do? Ooh, I should play Assassin's Creed. What's going to happen with this franchise? Let me jump in and play that one. So I just get real excited at E3 time. I think it's one of the more fun times of the year for gamers. So I am looking forward to it. So speaking of which, I want to jump right in. We'll just take turns saying things that we are hoping we see starting really kind of this week a little bit, but mostly starting over the weekend and into Monday with E3 2019. So I'll give it my first thing that I hope for, and then Derek, you tell me what you think about this. Okay. First thing I'm hoping for at this E3 is I'm hoping that CD Projekt Red has 2 announcements. One of them is I hope the rumor about Witcher 3 on the Switch is true, and I hope they call it the Switcher 3. Come on. But I do hope they put that on the Switch. I would totally play a lower res version of that on the go. Again, I would love that. Because again, by the way, you mentioned Fortnite. My kids have totally jumped ship, and they're totally in on Fortnite now on every system they can get it on. So I typically lose access to most of my stuff when it's their turn to play. So I would not mind having something like The Witcher 3 on the Switch to play while they take over my TV. I'm also hoping that we get, it sure be great to have a new trailer, but I'd love to see a release window for Cyberpunk 2077 if they were to say, coming spring 2020 or something, just so we can have an idea of, okay, we have about a year. I would love to see that because the longer they wait to even put a year on it, the more worried I am that this might even be a next-gen game. So I love the way that game looks, and I'm pumped for it. So that's one thing that I'm hoping for is Cyberpunk. What about you? What's something you're hoping to see?
I want a new BioShock. There's a rumor that there's a new BioShock in the works. And keep in mind, I'm not in the know anymore. I don't even go to gaming sites, really. I don't pay attention. So maybe, I don't think there's been an official announcement, but maybe there's been more than just rumors. Maybe there's actual proof. But I was reading an article that said something like they think there's a team working on a new BioShock and that they should announce it at E3. And I'm like,
all right,
please, that's what I want.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I'd be down with that.
I want it to be Ken Levine. I don't know. I know BioShock 2 is hated by some, but also really loved by others. So it's like one of those where I don't think there's a lot of in between. And that's the only one that wasn't done by Ken Levine. Whereas my 2 favorite are done by him. And I can tell the difference just in the way the stories and how deep and how, not just depth, but also the twists and just the way he messes with your mind is definitely, it's a level up on the first and Infinite compared to the second.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see a new BioShock. Infinite was such a great game, and I would
Yeah.
love to see a new BioShock. Absolutely. Oh, there's a couple of sequels that I'd like to see as well. There's a bunch of obvious sequels that would be amazing to see.
Mhm.
So I tried to pick a little bit more kind of out of the blue, like surprise sequels that no one's really expecting, but could be really interesting if done well. I'd love to see Microsoft announce a full sequel to Recore, but this time they've amped it up to be a true AAA experience,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they've really made it a full-on action RPG and kind of up to the whole mech mechanic and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see them take what is a pretty cool IP and really make it. Don't make another $40
Well, to me,
half-assed game.
that game lost me because it was boring to play. Like, I didn't like the gun mechanics.
It was too easy. Everything auto-aimed, and it was just
and and if they don't change that, even if they make it bigger and better and blah, blah, if they don't change the gunplay, I'm not gonna play that game.
No, I think they would have to not only change the gunplay, but they'd have to add a whole new level of other combat mechanics. Maybe there's a couple different classes you can specialize in where you can control bots to fight for you, or more melee, or more, gun focused or whatever. So I think there's some really cool potential there, and I doubt they would do this, but I would love to see a full-on Recore sequel. Just like I would love to see, just like I said, I wish Microsoft would up the ante and take Recore to the next level. I'd love to see Nintendo put out a Breath of the Wild sequel that is, I don't even care if it's that different from Breath of the Wild. I'd love a new area, maybe a whole new set of dungeons and stuff to explore, but give me a whole new environment, a whole new world to explore, and just set me out again. I don't need it to look that much different or play that much different. I just want a new set of enemies, tons of new weapons, maybe some new upgrade type stuff. But I would be okay. I don't want them to do this forever, but I would be okay with at least one more Breath of the Wild style game. That'd be awesome. I'd love that. What's something else that you would like to see?
For me, I put new Zelda too.
What would you want out of a new Zelda? What if it came out and it's essentially Breath of the Wild 1.5? What would you think about that?
Well, I think you got to stick to the open world. That was a success. I think I would get away from. I think what they need to do is have the open world, but maybe have the world be a little bit more interesting. I personally enjoyed it, but I also understand the complaints of it's bare bones, there's nothing there, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But again, it's all to me about perspective. When I played Zelda Breath of the Wild, I was looking at it as a boy on an adventure. Like when I was younger, and I know I said this on the show, like when it takes me back to the memories of me and my cousin going out in his backyard, and he had 8 acres and acres. And after you walk through the swamp area, it opened up into this big, like, high grass area where we would just goof around, play around, and we would just adventure.
Yeah.
And that's what Zelda Breath of the Wild was. It was just this boy on an adventure, discovering new areas, and that's what I did. So for me, on a new one, I would still want the open world. I would still want it to be open like it is, like where, hey, you can just go anywhere, But I would like to unlock, if you're going to do the whole stamina mechanic and health mechanic by like upgrading your character, I'd say go full-fledged and get away from like, hey, go to these, I forgot what they're called.
These little shrines.
And unlock them by doing a puzzle. Like, do something more interesting, like actually like take out full-on like bases or whatever, like enemy camps like you would do in like a Ubisoft game. And level your character up that way. I'd also like to see them get away from the broken weapons. Or if you're going to do broken weapons.
At least for some of the better ones. Like maybe once they're a little bit more rare and hard to find, those don't work, or something like that.
You could do where it's just common weapons break after like 5 or 6 hits. But once you start seeing like the higher quality, it shouldn't just be higher HP. It should also last longer or last forever.
Yeah, agreed.
So there's little minor things.
What if they took all those shrines? You got me thinking. You mentioned those shrines and upgrading stuff. I wouldn't mind it if they took a bunch of those shrines and combined. What was there, like 120? Make 10 or 12 awesome full-fledged dungeons, and within each of those is a series of all those shrine puzzles that you've got. Because some of those puzzles are very creative. They're very cool. They use the environment and the abilities very well. I'm not dissing those at all. but create full-fledged Zelda-style dungeons again. You know, where you've got a mid-boss and you got to find keys, and you have a main boss you got to fight at the end. You know, more boss fights would be great, and then more full-fledged dungeons. If they did that, then I would guess that game would immediately go above Breath of the Wild on my favorite games.
And I think that's what they'll do. I think Breath of the Wild, the goal was to build an open world game. And then once they built it, they're like, I'm not going to say bare bones. I think this was their direction. But they kind of, in a way, bare boned it as far as like, hey, jump on these 4 animals.
What they do to it?
Jump on these 4 animals.
No, you said they bare boned it.
They bare boned their animals. But just jump on these 4 animals and ride them and solve these puzzles, kill a boss, and then move on. I think if, like you said, maybe eliminate the shrines. I don't know if you could do 10 to 20, but even if you just did 5 to 6 dungeons, but they were like
amazing, make them really good,
legit dungeons, not jumping on an animal. And I'll tell you one thing that I didn't like about those animals is they became so confusing for me. I have a terrible sense of direction, and when you're like changing the shapes of animals and stuff, I'm like, I don't remember what I'm doing.
Like the big cylinder-shaped one where you had to just move little sections of it. Yeah. Well, the other problem with those is that it limited what they could do with design. Most of them were kind of that tan, brown, beige, and gray mixed together. So I would love to see them really blow it up with the design, because some of the areas in Breath of the Wild are just gorgeous. Tons of color, really well designed. But a good amount of the areas were pretty bland. So I'd love to see them go to the next level with the visuals as well. So I would love a Breath of the Wild sequel. Sounds like you'd enjoy that too. I actually, if Nintendo's going to announce sequels, I wouldn't mind if they teamed up with Ubisoft and made a Mario plus Rabbids sequel. Really fun turn-based strategy game. There's really not many games in that XCOM style. There's not a lot of games that play that exact same way. So I would love another Mario plus Rabbids game, not just a DLC like Donkey Kong, which is cool, but I want a full-on sequel. I'd love to see Ubisoft and Nintendo team up one more time. The only other random remake that I'll mention, and this is, this isn't a sequel, this would be a remake. This is one that I've talked about before, and I know that this is a game that's got no interest from you, but I think if they did it right, they could even interest a Derek Teague. If they did the side-scrolling platforming in a really smart way, think like Dead Cells or something, where it's really compelling and really well done, and then they did the city building in a way that's really compelling and well done, they could remake ActRaiser and make one of the coolest reimaginings of a game out there. Because ActRaiser was a very strange combination of sim builder, kind of overhead shooter, and side-scrolling platformer. And it did all those things pretty well. But I think in this day and age, they could remake ActRaiser and it could be amazing. So I would love it if there's a couple of studios that team with Nintendo that have been really quiet for a long time. And I would love it if they had something like that no one's expecting to pull out. What's something else you're hoping for or afraid you might see?
Well, my thing that I put is I'd like to see Xbox go big. Like, and it's not because everybody thinks I'm an Xbot. Yes, I've already said that I prefer Xbox over the other two, but I appreciate Sony the most because I feel like they put out the best first parties consistently. I would like to see Microsoft step their game up, and I feel like everybody says this every year, like, Microsoft's going to do good. They're going to do good. They got to do good, right? I mean, they've only been showing us, Halo and Gears for the last 10 years. They've got to have something up their sleeves, and it's like you think it would be common sense at this point. Like, you have to do more than that and stop buying other people's IPs. Like, create your own teams to have them create games.
Well, all these studios that they've purchased, do you think we're going to see anything from that yet, or do you think it's too soon?
And that's the rumors again, and this is what they do. They hype everything up, like with these dumb rumors, like, Microsoft's going to go big this time. Are they though?
Well, they're the only of them and Sony who really are the biggest direct competitors currently in the console market. Sony's not going to show up. They're not going to be there at all. Only thing we'll know about Sony from E3 is anything third-party related that's also on Sony. So
which I think that helps Microsoft, because not just because now they don't have that competition, but it's also all the focus is now on them. Like, everybody's going to be excited for them, and so they're going to want to see what they can do, and they're going to obviously give them the benefit of the doubt as long as Microsoft comes out and actually shows.
Well, and they've said it's going to be a 2-hour show, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and so some of the stuff I wrote is I'd like to see a new Fable. It doesn't have to be Fable.
One. We'll come back to the other ones. What's one that you want to see?
I want to see a new Fable.
Okay. And you want a full-on sequel, or are you okay with a spinoff or a remake, or what do you want?
I want to. It doesn't have to be Fable 4. It could be a reboot. They could just call it Fable and say we're starting over.
Okay.
Like forget the other game.
But you still kind of want to end that Albion setting with the same type of stuff that they do. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be really
And that's
cool.
another one where they do need to improve it though.
Okay.
Like they can't just keep it the same. Like just like we talked about with Breath of the Wild and stuff like that. They gotta improve it though.
Well, one thing I think Microsoft and Nintendo may surprise us all and team up on is I feel like some version of Xbox Game Pass might come to Switch at E3, and it might be announced. Now, it might be limited. It might just be a handful of games. Things like Ori would be really cool. Maybe just Ori comes by itself. I don't know. But I think there's the potential for Xbox to bring their Game Pass streaming service to Switch where it's cloud-based. And so you can now play... Maybe not everything. Maybe they hold back on some of it, but a good amount of Xbox Game Pass games can now be streamed onto your Switch if you're connected to Wi-Fi. So I think that'd be interesting. It might be, some people might think it's a dumb move for one or the other. I actually think it would be a good move money-wise for both if they decided to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think something like that might happen. I also think that we might see something special from Square on the Switch. And I think for those of us who love old school Square RPGs, we might see a Chrono Trigger plus Chrono Cross combo coming to Switch. They don't have to remake it or remaster it necessarily. They could, but they could just come as they are. I think, of course, I love Chrono Trigger. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But I'd be really curious to replay Chrono Cross as well. Really stylish PlayStation 1 game. I'd play that on the Switch again. What's another Microsoft game that you would like to see besides Fable 4?
Obviously, I want Halo and Gears, but we know we're getting those. I want a new IP. I know you mentioned like Recore stuff. I want something new. I want something that I can't even think of. Like I want a studio that they've bought out. Like for instance, which is the one Obsidian. They bought them out.
Which has, by the way, they've got a game supposed to come out this year, The Outer Worlds, which looks really interesting. Yeah.
I would like. So since they've got one coming out already, I would like something new from somebody like that.
Yeah.
Like one of these talented studios that they have to release something that we haven't seen. But I say one, I really want 4 or 5. Yeah. And 2 of them can be smaller. They could even be like, smaller titles or whatever. They don't have to all be AAA amazing games. But again, at this point, like, you're way behind the other 2. You're not kind of behind. You're way behind the other 2 as far as, to me, this is just my opinion, quality AAA, first party, exclusive content on Xbox.
Yep.
So
you just got to find the right developer partner. I mean, look what companies like Ubisoft did with Nintendo property. They did that with Mario plus Rabbids, and they made a really high quality, charming, very Nintendo-like strategy game. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you get straight garbage when you hand out your license to some other company. But it would be cool if Microsoft were a little more open-handed and allowing companies to really take full ownership of some of their IP and turn it into something really special. But so I'm with you. It'd be really exciting to see something brand new. I was thinking about what would I like to see that does not currently exist on consoles come to console. And I thought of this one when I was looking in the PlayStation Store, and one of the big things they're advertising is, I guess tomorrow, this new expansion for Elder Scrolls Online comes out. So I was just thinking about MMOs on console. And if they were to put an MMO on a console, what would I want to play? And the first one that came to mind, honestly, was City of Heroes, which is gone. But I used to love City of Heroes. I would totally play that again if that made a comeback, or City of Villains, both. But then I thought, what if somehow EA and BioWare were able to bring Star Wars: The Old Republic to PS4 and Xbox One? I would absolutely love that. I would 100% play that again. A great combination of MMO, play with friends, and that full MMO world with tons and tons of endgame stuff, as well as just really fun and compelling single-player Star Wars stories and tons of them, like several compelling stories for all these different classes. So I would love that. I know it's probably not going to happen. That BioWare and EA are both onto other things, but boy, oh boy, I would love that. I think that'd be great if they could just map the buttons in the right way, in a smart way. I would absolutely.
Oh, they figured it out. I mean,
they figured it out. Final Fantasy 14, right?
Yeah, they've done it with a lot of MMOs now. They can play them
DC Universe Online
with a pad, and it still plays well.
Yeah. Last thing I'll put that I hope for, and this is mostly just because it'd be fun to play something this summer with my kids again. I'd love a Castle Crashers sequel. They announced that Castle Crashers are coming to Switch, which is cool. That's great. But boy, would I love a full sequel to that game. Really take it to the next level with what you can do with Castle Crashers. So
I have a hope too, because I know you're looking at the notes and I only said what I said, but there is another hope.
What else you got?
I would love for Twisted Metal to come back. I know it's not going to be announced at E3 because it's Sony, but I just want to say that I want Sony to bring Twisted Metal back, and I'm fine with it even if I don't get a new Twisted Metal. Just create a collection like Twisted Metal 2, Twisted Metal Black, and even I know it got hated on. The PS3 Twisted Metal was a lot of fun too. There was some mistakes they made with it as far as like the story mode and stuff like that, but it was still probably, as far as gameplay, the best one, and it was well thought out and a lot of things. Although some of the boss fights were really hard, but I really wish they would do something with the Twisted Metal franchise. It's one of those that's just loved by so many people, yet they're real inconsistent on supporting it. It's like 1 minute they're full-fledged, like the PS2 days, PlayStation and PS2 days, they were all about Twisted Metal. They were releasing it every 5 seconds. After that, they fell off. They were just like, nobody likes it. No, we do. You just stop making good ones. If you'd make good ones, you would see your fans support it. So.
Yeah, part of me thought, I was kind of holding out hope that maybe Sony will surprise us with one of their State of Play, these new Nintendo Direct style broadcasts they do. But they just did one about 3 weeks ago. It'd be a little weird if they all of a sudden rattled off another one, I suppose. But speaking of which, part of that State of Play, they did show a new trailer for Final Fantasy VII, which I think we will see Part 1 announced as releasing this holiday with a kind of general early 2020 Part 2 release window. So I think we will see Part 1 of Final Fantasy VII this holiday.
I'm 100% okay with the Part 1, Part 2 if they don't have it like spread out like 2 years. Yeah,
I think it'll be. I mean, let's say they have to delay it, then I could see it being, Q1 2020 and then holiday 2020. They could both move back a little bit. But yeah, I'm with you. I think putting them apart more than 6 months would be a pretty big mistake. They should allow you to just buy the whole thing for one full price game, or of course you can buy it piecemeal, maybe $30 each or something like that. That's what they should do. But we'll see if that's
at most 40 a piece individually, or 60
for both
the whole package.
Yeah, which would be a no-brainer at that point, just to buy the.
But I really don't think so. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those Part 1 60, Part 2.
Oh my gosh, that would be.
Or maybe 50.
People will still buy it. Let's be honest.
I'll still buy it because I never beat Final Fantasy VII.
Dude, it looks so good. That new trailer
looks fun.
Oh, that new trailer looks amazing.
Definitely better than Kingdom Hearts 3. Trash people that like that junk.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. By the way, I recently, now that we're getting close to the halfway point of the year, by the way, 2019 has been a decent but not amazing year for games. Nice. But so I was recently kind of putting together what are my top 10 so far. There's not that many great ones, but even then, Kingdom Hearts 3 is not super high on the list. So
no, it's not been a good year.
It's been okay, but the second half of the year has some promise. But we'll see. Actually, after E3, we'll probably do a second half of the year preview. We'll see what's coming up because we'll know more release dates by then. A couple things that I fear or anticipate will probably happen, whether we want it to or not. I have a bad feeling that we won't see any new IPs from Nintendo or Microsoft. I have a feeling that Microsoft is going to keep holding those close to the vest until they're ready to announce their new console or cloud service or whatever. And I think Nintendo is going to really focus on stuff for this year. For example, Astral Chain, which, by the way, to be fair, new IP from Platinum Games. That's awesome. And Nintendo's publishing it, I think. I just don't think we're going to see any. That's one of the fears that I have, is that it's going to be a lot of stuff we already know about. And along with that, this one seems like a really easy one, but I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. I think Madden's going to skip the Switch again, despite the absolutely stellar sales of the console. I think that'd be dumb. I think they should try to make a low-res version of Madden because I think they'll sell like crazy. But what do I know?
Yeah. You don't know. You don't know anything.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Like, legit. What do I know?
Do you remember a couple months ago when Google had their big conference and it was, here's all the new stuff that's coming from Google and all their new tech, and then they announced their big cloud-based platform, Stadia, and in kind of its concept sounds kind of cool. Interesting idea where you can stream all your games. You know, you can use any device you want. You don't need to buy a console. You just subscribe to a service and you stream it right from their servers. And so if you've got great internet connection, that sounds like a good idea. You can kind of rent games. Everything's like a service. Think about like Netflix, of course. All their success is not because people are buying movies. They can't. You just subscribe to their service and you have access to their entire library. So I think Google's trying to do something similar with Stadia. I think they're trying to capture that subscribe and get everything crowd, which, by the way, it's appealing to me. Everything from listening to music on Spotify, watching movies on Netflix. I like that a lot. We used to buy tons of movies. I remember back when Blockbuster was still a thing, we used to go and do their 3 for $20 deals on their used DVDs or 4 for $20 deals. I used to love that. You go through the bin and you just pick out movies and all that kind of stuff. Okay, sounds good. And we used to do that all the time. And I had all these DVDs, stuff that I was maybe mildly interested in, but hey, it's only $5. Why not? I don't do that anymore. And so I think the same thing's going to happen with games at some point, where it's less about I want to own everything, and it's more about I want to try a lot of stuff and I want to own a few of them. You know, there's a few games that I want to own. So, but I have a feeling we're not really going to see much from Stadia yet again, although it is supposed to launch later this year. And if they surprise us with some cool stuff, that would be great, because Google kind of made a splash and then got real quiet. So we'll have to wait and see if they say anything else. This next fear that I've got that I think is going to happen, I put on there mostly for Derek's sake, and that's I think there's going to be yet again too much mobile stuff talked about this year, whether it's Nintendo or Microsoft or some of the smaller developers, Ubisoft. I still think there's going to be too much mobile stuff again this year. That's where the money is, don't get me wrong, so I get it. But I think there's going to be a lot of eye rolling from those of us who really aren't big mobile gamers. And last but not least, this is a fear I have because it's a prediction that I've made. Actually, these are there's two of them. One of them is I fear that Nintendo will yet again not say anything about a Metroid Prime trilogy on Switch. I don't think they'll say anything about it. And I think another event will come and go where we're all just wishing we heard something about Metroid Prime trilogy. And I think that Ubisoft will yet again skip any kind of Splinter Cell conversation. I don't think we're going to hear anything about a new Splinter Cell. I would love to be wrong on both those counts. I love both.
I think we'll get something on Splinter Cell.
Oh, you think so? A new one?
Either that, well, I won't say remaster, because to me, when games start getting 1x enhancements, that to me throws out the window that they're going to remaster anything. So, but at the same time, when I also see that, like randomly all the Splinter Cell games are getting enhanced, makes me think that they're trying to bring Splinter Cell out in the limelight again. Like, hey, these exist, and we're updating them.
Interest again, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if not at E3, at some point soon, we're going to hear something like, hey, we do have Splinter Cell.
That'd be great. I would love like an early 2020.
But I really think it's going to be one of the main things that they show off at E3. Like
that'd be
their last game.
Yeah,
they show off is.
I mean, I really don't think so, but I would love it, even if it were just that classic sound of the kind of the 3-light night vision thing turning on, and it just says, more info coming soon or something. Like that'd be great if they were just to tease us that something's happening. I don't think it's going to. I think Ubisoft has a lot of other irons in the fire right now, including, don't forget, they've got that pirate game, that kind of all-9 multiplayer Skulls something or other game. I still wonder if that's just going to eventually get canceled, or are they going to talk about it again, Skull and Bones, but we'll see what happens with that one. And they are taking this year off from Assassin's Creed again, but they've got a big Ghost Recon game coming out this fall that looks pretty awesome. So I think that's the big Ubisoft tentpole for this fall. I would love to be wrong on that, though. I'd love there to be more of Ubisoft's, big single-player franchises like Splinter Cell Assassin's Creed and stuff. So that's it. Those are some of my hopes and fears, some of Derek's hopes and fears for E3. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to pretending like I have a meeting in a side room and watching some of these presentations, keeping on top of the news while I'm at work. It's always exciting when you see stuff get announced. So I'm pumped for it.
I'm super pumped.
I can tell you. I can tell you are. Do you, honestly though, do you get excited for this time of year, or is it more of just like, no, I just want to play the games? Like, have you kind of shifted out of the news excites me?
I was super excited until last year. Last year, I didn't do any of the shows with you. I think I watched the conferences, but I was bored during most of them. And I don't even know if I watched them live, really. Like, I just wasn't in a place where I cared. I wouldn't say I'm definitely not in the same place. I'm way better this year than I was last year. But I still get excited about games, but it's not the same. Like, I can't really explain it. I know in a podcast, it's kind of the whole point is to be able to explain stuff. But there's just, like, when I see a game's coming out, like, there'll be a little bit of excitement, but then when it actually comes out, for the most part, I rarely play them. It's just like Rage 2. Like, when I first started playing, I was like, this game's awesome. And then the next time we record, I'm like, okay.
I stopped playing. But to be fair, though, you went way deeper with Sekiro than a lot of gamers did.
Yeah, and then once I hit the 20-plus hours...
I didn't even mean to set you up for that one, but now looking back on it, that was...
Yeah. You went way deeper inside Sekiro. Yeah, I did. She's hot, too.
Oh, my gosh. Oops, I set you up for that one. But you did. You played Sekiro way more than a lot of folks did, way more than I did. I kind of fell off of it and still admire it for what it is, but that game's got that classic From Software intimidation factor where it's like you really have to want to do that and succeed.
We've talked about that. Like, I normally have that want, and I got to
you did for a little while, which was impressive.
I got to the third boss, and I rarely even fought him. I fought him once the first time I got it, and I was like, okay, I'll study him, and maybe I'll come back, and I just didn't come back, and then I came back probably about a month ago, fought him like 3 times. I was like, nope, I don't even want to try.
Yeah.
So I just stopped.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, well, I will maintain the excitement for both of us for E3. I'll keep...
Well, and keep in mind, listeners, in case you guys are really thinking I'm emo, I'm just exhausted. I've been nonstop working, and I was even thinking about canceling on Tim tonight, but I was like, no, we were supposed to do it last week, and then we were supposed to do it last night, and I'm like, I'll just suck it up, and the show will suck, and I won't barely talk, or I won't have anything interesting to say. But I'm here. That's what you get.
We got to keep this fire alive. Okay, we got to keep this. I
mean, that's the same thing I tell all the ladies. I'm just here.
Yeah, listen. I'm just here. We were supposed to do it last week, but we didn't. We were supposed to do it last night. We didn't.
But I'm here.
So tonight, I might just have to lay there and take it, but I'll be there for you.
But I'm here.
All right. Well, as compelling of an argument as that is for anyone listening to be excited for E3, I give you permission to be excited about stupid stuff like video game news. This is the one time a year that we get to all collectively overreact in excitement, disappointment, and everything in between. You have my full permission to overreact right alongside with me. Not sure if Derek will be available to record some reaction stuff to E3 or not. Hopefully he will. But either way, I will be around to do some reaction with Derek or with some guests or by myself. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out.
Well, and if this show was boring, guys, you can skip ahead to the 50-minute marker to get to this point where it's less boring. Just want to let you know you can skip ahead now.
Good looking out, man. Way to cover everybody with that. That's nice.
I always try to care for other people.
All right. Well, hey, listen, the piece of advice I'll give you guys this week, this Father Knows Best piece of advice is if you are pricing out air conditioning, which we've been doing recently, we need to get AC in our house for the summer. Make sure you get at least 3 bids, number one. Don't be lazy. Call 3 different local places. Let them all come do the bids. But number 2, when the first person comes in and they're trying to sell you on it by telling you all the stuff you're going to need, Like, hey, you're gonna need this new wiring, you're gonna need this new system over here, you're gonna need, we're gonna need to raise up that furnace and put some stuff underneath, whatever. They've got all these extra little things they want to add in. Use that information on the next bid to let them know, like, yeah, I've already thought about that. I don't think we need that piece. Like, beat them to the punch so they think you're super knowledgeable. The second bid that came in for us was like $1,500 less because the guy wasn't trying to add a bunch of crap in for me because I used a bunch of stuff the first guy told me. So I recommend doing that. The third one was just a garbage bid. I'm not going to do that one. But I recommend getting 3 bids and then using the things you learn from for whatever the work is. And then making it sound like you are also super knowledgeable about air conditioning. The guy seriously was like, are you in the HVAC world? I'm like, no, just kind of learn as I go. So
Google it. Frank Clark, try Googling.
But it totally worked. This guy came in well under, and they pretty much is offering the same services. I think there was a little flag of, all right, I can't add stuff on. This guy knows what he's talking about. I totally don't.
Why didn't you go to FOTCA first and say, guys, please help. Please help. I'm trying to get AC done. Please help.
Because I'm a man. Okay? I'm a man, and I know how to Google businesses and call the first 3 results and have them come to my house. Yeah.
That's manly.
Anyway, so there's my piece of advice for you. All right.
All right.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening, Derek. Thanks for making time, even though you were tired and hate video games now. I appreciate you continuing on.
No problem. I do it for the people.
Do it for the ladies, all the ladies that we get through this show.
Yeah, we got a ton of them. They DM me all the time. You single yet? I'm like, I am, girl.
I bet you get DMs, and I bet none of them are from girls. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right, bye.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?